how to keep promises that you make yourself. I actually was able to do the thing that I said I was gonna do. What is the next small incremental thing? Stop your thoughts in their tracks. Hello friends, and welcome to another video. Today we are going to be talking about something that is very near and dear to my heart. It is how to build self-confidence. Self-confidence is not something that comes naturally to just about anyone unless you're a psychopath. So it's something that you have to work towards and you have to earn. So today we're going to talk about ways that you can build self-confidence and just be a more confident person. So the definition of confidence is the feeling or belief that one can rely on someone or something. So self-confidence is therefore the belief that you can rely on yourself. The most important element of this is going to be keeping promises that you make to yourself. So that is where we're going to start out. I'm going to give you guys 4 tips on how to keep promises that you make yourself. And from there, we're going to go into just 3 more tips on how to build confidence outside of keeping those promises to yourself. So let's go ahead and dive into how to actually keep the promises that you make to yourself. So the first tip that I have is start very, very, very small. Do not make big, grand promises that you're probably not going to be able to follow through with. Start with very simple things like drinking 1 water bottle every single day, or doing 1 push-up, or saving $1 every month. Very small things like that that honestly you almost know that you're going to be able to do, but you still make the promise to yourself and you almost like trick your brain into saying, oh wow, I promised myself I was going to do this thing, and even though it wasn't that challenging for me, I still was able to stick to that promise. Pick something very small and then follow through with it. And my second tip is to actually keep track of those things. So if you say you're gonna do something every single day, actually keep track of how often you do that thing. One way you can do that is by using a habit tracker. So I am currently doing that right now this month as I set some goals for some things I wanna do every single day. So here I have a habit tracker. Every single one of these little boxes, half of it is for 1 day. So have something like that where you can actually keep track of throughout the months or the week or however long you say you're gonna do that thing, be able to actually check it off or fill it in, just so you have a visual representation of, wow, I actually was able to do the thing that I said I was gonna do for this many days. If we don't keep track of those things, then sometimes it can slip to the back of our brain and we don't actually realize that we're doing the things that we said we were gonna do. So keep track of it, have a visual representation of it, and then my third tip here is actually take time to celebrate those small wins. By taking a moment to actually congratulate ourselves for doing those small things, it allows our brains to be happy for us and actually feel proud of ourselves for doing those things. Don't just go right on to the next thing and keep on keeping on. You have to actually take a moment to congratulate yourself for doing the things that you said you were gonna do. And once you've congratulated yourself, then go ahead and start planning for the next thing. What is the next small incremental thing that I can do on this bigger goal? Or just anything, honestly. As long as you're proving to yourself that you're capable of sticking to those things, it's gonna continue to build that confidence. So celebrate it and then move on to the next thing, but actually make sure that you take time to celebrate it. The fourth thing is, do not be too hard on yourself when you fail, because guess what? You are going to mess up. You're gonna make mistakes. You're not gonna keep every single promise to yourself. But if you make a really big deal out of that, then it's gonna bog you down and it's gonna keep you in that low self-confidence place. Just say, hey, I messed up. It's okay. I'm human. I'm gonna keep doing this because I'm the type of person that even when I mess up, I keep moving forward. Because people with high self-esteem, they're that kind of person, and you wanna be that kind of person too. So make sure that if you do mess up, don't be too hard on yourself. Just move on to the next day, because there's always another day. So those were my 4 tips on how to keep the promises you make to yourself. Next, we're gonna go into just 3 simple other tips that I have for building self-confidence. The first of which I'm gonna go into fairly in depth, and it is check your headspace. So I just touched on this a little bit in the other point, but if you are in that really, really low self-confidence place, you're probably saying things to yourself like, I'm just a lazy person, or why even start because I'm just gonna fall off track anyway, so what's the point? Or I've never done it in the past, so why would I be able to stick to this thing now? Believe me, I've 100% been there. I used to have the worst negative thought cycles in the entire world, but I was able to get out of it using some of these simple things. The first one is coming up with a mantra that you say to yourself every single time one of those negative thoughts pops into your head. Something like, I'm capable, or I keep the promises that I make to myself. Anything like that when those thoughts come in of, well, why should I even go and work out right now? Like, I never stick to it. What's the point in me doing it now? Because I'm not gonna be doing it in a month. If those thoughts start coming into your head, immediately go, no, that's not true. I am capable of doing this. And keep doing that over and over and over again. Every single time one of those negative thoughts slips in, immediately stop your thoughts in their tracks and tell yourself, no, I am capable. I can do this. And eventually, you're gonna actually start believing it. You also might consider using positive affirmations, things like I am capable, those things that you're using as your mantra. Maybe even write those down and recite them every single day just so you're getting those thoughts in your head, or maybe put them in some place where you're gonna see them frequently, like on your mirror or maybe above your desk, something like that, so that they're just constantly being in your line of sight and you're constantly thinking those things and just getting those positive thoughts into your head as much as possible. Also, consider journaling. I have a lot of experience with journaling. It's honestly the thing that got me out of those negative thought patterns, because before I started journaling, I wasn't even aware of how negative of a person that I am, or used to be. But once you start journaling, you can actually see those thought patterns coming up over and over and over and over again. And you're able to correct them in writing. And I just feel like there's something about writing that just really solidifies things when you try to turn those negative things into positive things. I would definitely consider journaling as a way just to kind of get a feel for what you're thinking on a daily basis. And it's gonna build self-confidence because you're gonna be able to look back at the things that you wrote like 2 months ago and realize that you are becoming more positive and you are doing better every single day. It really creates that record of your thoughts and helps build self-confidence by seeing it change over time. I would seriously consider journaling if you're not already. If you guys are interested in seeing some more videos about journaling and about my journaling process and how I got into it and how it's helped me, comment that down below because I would love to make some videos on that because I love journaling. That brings me to my next tip, which is do more of what you know you're good at. By doing things that we're good at, it makes us feel good. Like, it just does. If you're good at something and you're doing it, you know, you're gonna have a good time with it. And maybe you're like sitting here and you're like, well, I'm not really good at anything, so I don't really know what I would even do. Ask your friends, ask your family. They're probably gonna be able to point you at some things that you are good at. And not only is that gonna then give you things to go and do, it's also gonna give you a little pep talk because your friends and family are gonna tell you, hopefully, some nice things about you. And if not, maybe consider going and finding some new friends. And then the next thing is just start expanding your comfort zone. So this is kind of the opposite of what I just said. Instead of continuing to do those things that you know you're good at, step out of that just a little bit and start doing things that maybe you're not completely comfortable with, but if you stick to it, it is going to absolutely expand your self-confidence like nothing else can. Doing things that you don't think that you're capable of and then actually following through and doing them, believe me, it works wonders on your self-confidence. That's one of the reasons that working out is such a good thing for people's self-confidence. It's not because it makes you lose weight or gives you abs or makes you look good or anything like that. It's because you show up in the gym and you start out lifting 3 pounds and you never think that you're ever gonna be able to lift 15 pounds. Like, that's completely insane. But then you give yourself 5-6 months and you're able to lift those 15-pound weights, and nothing makes you feel more self-confident than that. And there's so many other ways that you can do that aren't necessarily things in the gym, just different things that get you outside of your comfort zone. Maybe it's going to dinner by yourself and just sitting by yourself, or going to a movie by yourself, or going to a new place, even if it's with a friend. Maybe it's something that you're nervous about trying for the first time. Doing those things, even if you suck at them, it's gonna build so much self-confidence. So start very small with those very small habits, and start doing things that you enjoy and that you're good at, and then slowly start getting out of your comfort zone and pushing yourself just a little bit more. And believe me, if you do those things, you're gonna continue growing and you're gonna continue building self-confidence, and eventually there's not gonna be anything that you don't think you're capable of. And make sure that you're recording it all along the way so you can see yourself growing and changing and getting better and better, and you will be able to do whatever you want with your life. So those are all of my tips on how to build self-confidence and how to be a more confident person. Believe me, if I had not pushed myself and continued to build my self-confidence and I was stuck back where I used to be, I would not be sitting on this camera and I would not be putting myself out there on the internet. So these things work because they worked for me. If you guys enjoyed this video, please make sure that you like it, subscribe, follow along for all of the tips on how to live your absolute best life. Join this little community that I'm building here, and comment down below something that you're good at, something that you stuck to, something that you have accomplished in your life. I would love to hear it. Give yourself a little pep talk in the comments. And without further ado, that is the end of this video, and I will see you guys in the next one.